What's up, Cherry Winder Nation? I'm here today to talk about vibe coding. So I tried out ChatGPT and vibe coding, and I wanted to talk about my experience and also show off the various projects that I made. So you can see we are currently looking at my website, and this is the page on it where I've got all of my weird projects. All of this is JavaScript stuff that I've worked on for a long time. Some of this stuff is from back in grad school. And so I've got a lot of things in here that are just random projects. Most of them are just graphical things. You can see the background of this page itself has some interactivity. Wherever the mouse goes, the background is more highlighted. There are more shapes. And so that's just one of the uses of the various things that I've made. And most of them don't have much purpose. If you look at the More Lightning page, you can see it's just a cool little wiggly line, looks like lightning, and they're just sort of spinning around and being adjusted by parameters. So just cool graphical effects. And that's the sort of thing I wanted to create with ChatGPT. And so if you go back to the main page here, I've got 3 different projects I ended up trying out to make with ChatGPT. And the way I got started, I just didn't know exactly how to get started with vibe coding. And so I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, ChatGPT, how do I get started with vibe coding? And then ChatGPT asked a few follow-up questions, like what kind of thing are you trying to make? And like, what's your level of coding experience? And after I answered that with like, I want to make these visual things to put on my website, it already spat out an HTML file and a JavaScript file. And I was like, okay. So after my second prompt, I was already doing it. I didn't even know I was going to do it when I started. I was just asking about the process. And then it was like, boom, you're in. You're already doing it, which was kind of fun. And after the third prompt, I had what ended up being this little thing here. And so that's already the sort of thing that I'd be making. A little crazy screensavery type thing going on. And that was less than half an hour. I was waiting for a casserole to bake and not even sure about what I was going to do. And already I had this thing, which is pretty neat, and here it is on the website, so you can check it out. And from there, I thought about what I wanted to see, and I wanted to make something more complicated, and that ended up becoming this interactive text effect, where if you look over here, I actually needed some text for the effect, and so I used the first few prompts as the text. But if you follow the mouse, as it goes near the letters sort of repel away. And so I thought that was pretty neat. And it works really seamlessly. And so this is the second thing, but I added a few more features. So watch this. If you click the mouse and you hold it, the letters start to wiggle. And it gets a little bit hard to look at. You can't read it. You're going a little bit nuts. And then when you release, there's a little shockwave effect. And it all sort of settles back in. I spent a long time trying to tweak the shockwave effect, and it was not the best. And it never really ended up right where I wanted it to be. And so it was sort of like the initial text effect was like almost magical how easy it was to get up and running. But then to get something that I actually wanted to be exactly the way I wanted it to, never really got there. Like the shockwave is not really how I wanted it to be. It's sort of there, but like I had a different picture in my head, and this isn't exactly what I was going for. So my overall thought was this thing is almost magical. And then the longer I worked with it, the less I was excited about it. Like, it just couldn't make exactly what I wanted. And if I wanted to get it where I wanted to go, I would have to actually do some coding. So when I was working through this, I didn't do any coding. I was sort of like cut and paste, let's not think at all, and just sort of talk to ChatGPT was the general process I was going through. And that effect of it sort of like being a struggle to get specifics of what I wanted was even more exacerbated in the last project that I made, which was a little game. I wanted some interactivity. And so this is what I ended up producing. And so it looks like a game, and it does work out. So if you check this out, you've got a little box, you're controlling the box, you collect the green dots. The collision's not perfect. These red obstacles come in, and so it just adds up your score until you hit a box. And then it ends. So this is the basics of a game. The more dots you collect, the more red boxes appear, obstacles appear. But every time you collect a green one, the timer resets on the obstacles. So this is another case where it was like I would actually want to code, because to fix these errors, ChatGPT had sort of a hard time. Now maybe I'm using ChatGPT wrong. Like I could probably be using like an actual coding LLM as opposed to just chatting with ChatGPT. But this was sort of the easiest introduction to it I could find. And I didn't even sign in. So this was very basic. Just the most entry level I could figure out how to do. And this is probably the highest score I've ever gotten on this game. It's starting to lag. The visuals, I did try and get them to be more fancy. I did ask for wireframe, and at some point I tried to get shaders involved and that stuff, but it was not working out, and ChatGPT really couldn't make that happen for me. But let's see what happens when you die. Game over, restart. You can see the score on the top, 44, and then it just hops right back into the game. So it's a functional game. It's not like amazing, but it's got all the parts to a game. You can play it. And I didn't do like any coding to make this happen. So I've spent time in the past trying to get 3.js to do this sort of thing. And I've had mild to moderate success getting it up and running on my own. But this was much easier to get it up and running. So I might use ChatGPT in the future to like start a project, but to actually make features and get things to work the way you want them to, ChatGPT was not the best. So the longer I worked with it, the less magical it seemed. But that initial, like, getting something on the screen really did feel like some kind of crazy revolution. So that's been my experience. You can check out all of these projects on my site, link in the description. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed, learned something, saw some cool little things, and check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye.